What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel. Now today we are going to be starting a brand new series here on the channel, and I hope you guys are excited for that. So this is going to be Taking Them Down. So this is going to be a series very similar to the competitive deck series. However, instead of showing you how to use Pokemon, we are going to be showing you how to counter them. So yeah, this was suggested by a user by the name of Henry Hodgepodge. He actually commented on a video a few days ago, and hopefully that'll be popping up on the screen right now. And it said, "Hey man, these videos are great at teaching new players how to get into competitive/showdown. Was wondering if you could make some more like meta counter videos in the future, how to shut down annoying/common Pokemon on the ladder." And yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it's really awesome to not only see how to use these mons, but if they are especially problematic in the current metagame, how do I get rid of them? I think that that's a really cool thing to cover in a video. And so we are of course going to be starting with the one and only Dragapult. Dragapult has been at the #1 spot of usage statistics since the game has dropped. So naturally this is going to be our first episode. I thought it made the most sense. So let's start by looking at, this is the most common set right now for Dragapult, and we are going to show you how to counter it, and we're also going to show you that this counters a lot of its other sets anyway. So now, although its attack stat is higher than its special attack stat, this mon is typically run special. The physical set just isn't nearly as good because, one, its best ghost type move on the physical side is going to be, where is it? It's going to be Phantom Force, isn't it? Well, I don't know where it went. Phantom Force, I guess it's down here. Yeah, Phantom Force. So it's a 2-turn move, so your opponent can bring in an appropriate switch. And now that Dynamax is banned, he doesn't even get the ability to use it in 1 turn anymore. So basically most of your physical sets are completely disappearing right now. Also, Dragon Darts is one of his better physical moves. You know, he does get Outrage, but you typically don't want to lock something this frail into Outrage because it's just going to die anyway. So unfortunately, given how bad the physical move pool is, you're typically not going to see this as a physical attacker. However, I am going to show you one set just in case the most common physical set does show up. So let's start by looking at this set. This is the most common set in Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, and Thunderbolt. This thing is insanely fast, hits insanely hard, and there are very few things that counter it. So let's talk about how to kill it. First of all, a awesome mon that not a lot of people are using right now is Bisharp. Bisharp is an amazing mon that does so much damage with its dark type stab. Now it no longer gets access to knockoff, which is kind of terrible in my opinion, but it does have access to throat chop in a strong dark type move. However, that is not how we counter Dragapult. We counter Dragapult with Sucker Punch. So if you look at these calcs right here, Sucker Punch has an 87.5% chance to OHKO if it is at full. If you have Stealth Rocks up, it is a guaranteed OHKO. So you are definitely, sorry, Stealth Rocks right there. Yeah, guaranteed OHKO after Stealth Rocks. So yeah, this thing is insanely powerful and will go first if this is a Specs set. Yeah, this thing's insanely powerful. You do not need a Swords Dance, even though I have Swords Dance on this set. It can kill it just from neutral. So that's really all you need. This will kill that. Now, you might be thinking, well, Dapper, I've seen Substitute and like Will-O-Wisp and Hex. I've seen Substitute Dragon Dance. I've seen all of these sets. What do I do about those? Well, that's why we have Sylveon. Sylveon, as we mentioned in our State of the Meta address the other day, we mentioned that this is now in OU, and there's a reason. This thing is actually a really nice counter to Dragapult. I think it's a nice check. I don't know if I would necessarily consider it a counter, but it is a great check. And so if you look at this calc right here, Hyper Voice OHKOs, no matter what, from full. It doesn't need investment. I don't have 4 on here. Take away the investment, it's still OHKOs. So like, it's absolutely insane the amount of damage this thing can do with Hyper Voice, especially if this mon is setting up a sub and getting behind the sub. Hyper Voice will kill it through the sub. No problem, every time. Don't worry about it. So I think that Sylveon is going to be used a lot in the metagame. And yeah, I mean, especially if he goes for Draco Meteor and he's locked in with this, you can just come into this. Even if he goes for anything else, I mean, look at how small the damage is, and then you can just wish it off. I mean, this mon is a really, really awesome check to Dragapult. And so, yeah, you just eat hits for days. You don't even need to be invested on special defense side. And yeah, you're just going to be doing really, really well against a Dragapult. Now, getting to a little bit of a more unconventional mon to use, and that's Scrafty. Now, Scrafty, as you know, is a very low tier mon. It's usually not very high tier at all. However, I really like Scrafty. I like its typing in Dark Fighting. I think it's a really good typing, and it really helps us here against Dragapult. So running this specific set against a Dragapult will actually allow you to live a Draco Meteor. Now, Draco Meteor does do a little bit over half to you. However, it then lowers his special attack by 2 stages. You then have Rest with Shed Skin. Same thing that we talked about in my Sandaconda video. Yeah, this thing does some work, and it will actually eat hits from Dragapult for days as long as you are invested in special attack and special defense rather. Now, you could also run something like an all-out attacker instead of this bulk up set that I have here. Now, you would lose access to rest, but you could run something like an assault vest set, and you would just kill it with crunch. I mean, this set is this set right here is really great. And sorry, we have throat chop on here. Let's go with crunch. Should do exactly the same damage anyway, the same base power. But yeah, so this is a 2-hit KO no matter what. It's yeah, Scrafty does a really, really good job at dealing with this actually, and I really hope that Scrafty gets a lot more usage because I think it's a great mon. Great typing, great move pool. I think it's a really cool mon. The next set is going to be a Jellicent set. Now you'd be thinking, but Dapper, this is a ghost. Like, why are you bringing in a ghost type on a offensive ghost type? Well, I've got a couple reasons. One, Jellicent. So first of all, this is the set just flipped that I showed off the other day on our Wi-Fi battle. That was my counter to the Galarian Darmanitan, and that's what this mon has always acted as in this metagame, has been a Galarian Darmanitan check. Now that Galarian Darmanitan is gone, I do think that we will see a lot less of Jellicent. However, a specially defensive Jellicent does amazingly well against a Dragapult. And so basically what I've done is I've just flipped the EVs that I was running on that Dragapult, or on that Jellicent rather, and so now I have the 172 in special defense and I'm running a calm nature rather than the 172 defense and bold nature. And then I just put the other 84 into defense just to give us a little bit of that physical bulk back, but of course you don't need nearly as much because you're no longer having to take those choice banded Guerrilla Tactics Icicle Crashes that just did stupid amounts of damage. So what can this do? Well, you can of course hex it, you can Will-O-Wisp it to burn it, and you can taunt it in order to make sure that it can't sub anymore. And then if you take a look at this calc, you take 30% damage from the first Shadow Ball. So this mon actually takes hits really well from this mon. Now obviously, you know, Thunderbolt is doing about half, and you do have to worry about all of this stuff. But if your opponent goes for something like Fire Blast, you can bring this in, and that helps you against that. You can also use this for taunt, and you will live a hit in order to get that taunt off, and then break the sub, and then he's in a much worse position. So yeah, this does help you in a lot of ways. Plus you have Will-O-Wisp and Strength Sap in order to help you if it is a physical set. So yeah, you've got some options here with Jellicent, and of course if you wanted to, you could run this fully specially defensive. So let's look at what that calc would look like. 252 into the special defense. And so yeah, now Draco Meteor is less than half percent. It is less than half of the time will be a 2-hit KO. So yeah, you could run this fully specially defensive, and that would really, really help you against all of these things. Once your Cassid Berry is gone, You, of course, will be taking over half from Shadow Ball, so you do have to watch out from that. But the first time that you get hit with a Shadow Ball, it's only going to be doing 28%, so it still isn't quite a 2-hit KO, which is pretty crazy, honestly. Yeah, it's insane. So Jellicent, even though the typing doesn't seem like it would be good for it, it actually can do some work. Lastly, of course, a very common mon in the tier, but a Grimmsnarl. I wanted to show you a few like super standard, more standard, I guess. This is very standard, and then as well as some back pocket counters that people wouldn't expect. But Grimmsnarl, of course, running Mental Herb, not necessarily for this mon specifically, but running a specially defensive set with Light Screen Reflect, Darkest Lariat, and Taunt. Darkest Lariat is going to do a ton of damage and actually has a chance to OHKO. And your opponent at best has a 99% chance to 3-hit KO, and that's it. So I mean, you're going to be getting off a lot of damage with this. If you need Darkest Lariat to go up, you can set up Light Screen and then go for a Darkest Lariat. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna do really good damage, as well as having Taunt. Taunt allows you to make sure that he can't set up a sub anymore, and so what you could do early game is set up the screens. Hopefully don't take a ton of damage from something like setting up on you or whatever. You could even Wish Pass into this with something like Sylveon, and then bring this in. You can taunt it to make sure that it can't sub anymore, and then Darkest Lariat, and yeah, make sure that this thing at least is no longer behind a sub, and then you can bring in another appropriate counter, such as the ones we have mentioned in this episode. So yeah, that is going to be it for today's episode of Taking Them Down. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy videos like this. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below if you like something like this, if you like this in tandem with the competitive decks. I like doing the competitive decks a lot. I think that it's really nice to be able to know how to use these new mons, and it's also equally important to know how to fight them and how to combat them, especially when they are so prevalent as things like Dragapult. So yeah, that is going to be it for today. I will see you guys next time, and until then, bye-bye.